Right, so officially live. Welcome everyone to Christine, first time in the Zoom room. Great to have you here, hopefully the first of many. And Sally, fancy seeing you here again. Sally spends a lot of time here. And Susie, you haven't been here for a while, so very warm welcome to all of you. So I think let's just dive into the teaching for today. So I send out, just for Christine's benefit, I send out a daily inspirational quote that's related to a mind training lesson from A Course in Miracles. So we just read and discuss that teaching for a bit. That's the first part of the session, and then we'll go into meditation, which is the second part. So just going to share my screen. Already's joining. That's nice. Some international audience. Let's see, how can I join her? There we go. Can you see the see the screen, everyone?
Mm-hmm.
Great.
Yes.
Great. Let me just see how. There we go. Admit her. Okay. So someone would like to kick it off just to read the quote. Let's ask Susie. We haven't done this for a while, so can you read the quote for us, please?
Anger is an acid that can do more harm to the vessel in which it is stored than to anything on which it is poured.
Oh, it's a great quote, Mark Twain. When you see the photo, I found that photo to go with it. I try and find photos to match the quotes. You can see the effects of anger on that young man quite clearly. Look at what he's done to his body. That's a result of the inner anger, which, as he's saying, is doing more damage to the vessel, the body and the mind than to anything on which it is poured outwards. So another way of saying that all attack is really self-attack, as Yeshua explains in A Course in Miracles. All attack is self-attack, and so it damages the person being angry. You're angry, you're attacking. It damages the person being angry more than anyone that he or she is feeling angry towards, which is not very smart, but then the ego is not smart. And so we just need to realize how incredibly stupid that is. It's like, you used this analogy before, but it's worth mentioning. It's like hitting your head against a brick wall and you're bleeding and it's sore and you're blaming the wall. And that's effectively what you're doing to yourself when you're projecting anger out onto someone and getting angry and upset and saying, no, it's the wall that's the problem. I'm angry because the wall's hitting me. But actually it's your own intent to do it that's the problem. So Yeshua is just saying to us with this course, A Course in Miracles, he's saying, stop hitting your head against the wall. Stop banging your head against the wall, because it's never going to make you happy and peaceful. You don't want to suffer like this. So in workbook lesson 23, he says, let's ask someone else to read that. Aurelie, will you read that for us, please? Welcome.
Hello, hi everyone. Thank you. Each of your perceptions of external reality is a pictorial representation of your own attack thoughts.
Yeah, which is quite profound, what he's saying there. But each of your perceptions of, quote, external reality, so that's everything you perceive as outside of you, is a pictorial representation of your own attack thoughts. In other words, your attack thoughts are projected out onto the screen, represented here in this, it's a four-dimensional screen of time and in the three dimensions of space. It's the movie theater, and everything you see on the screen, so all of your experiences in time and space as a human being, are a pictorial representation of your own attack thoughts. Well, if that doesn't make you just pause and reflect a bit, nothing will. Saying the world is a projection of your own attack thoughts. So he's trying to teach us just how entrenched anger and its related attack thoughts are in our minds, and therefore the seeming reality of our experience in this world. And so we've formed a this false idea that we are separate from ourselves, from our source, from others. We then have fear and anger going on in our minds because of that separation. We project it onto the world, we spew it out of our minds. We've literally gone out of our minds into this four-dimensional illusory reality. And everything then that's been projected out of the mind is a pictorial representation of that attack thought. We've attacked our own true nature, our own self. And the world is the expression of that, the projection of that. So he's saying that if the world's a projection of guilt, fear, and attack thoughts, sugarcoating it is not going to help you find peace while you're apparently living in the world, or escape from the world entirely. So trying to make it nice, which is what the ego is always trying to do. Oh, well, don't focus on that. Focus on the good stuff that you can have. Desire something better. Yeah, what he's saying to you is you have to look at this, to really look, and it's uncomfortable to look. But you have to really look at what the ego has made. Honestly, perfect honesty. And then if you look at it with perfect honesty, you just couldn't have it. You wouldn't tolerate it. You'd say, no, this is a half-baked world. We're only seeing the world for what it really is, without trying to cover over the rotten cake of this world that the ego's baked with a veneer of ephemeral icing. And then systematically letting your belief in it go will correct your perception of the world and take you step by step to the ultimate goal of enlightenment. So it's only, I'm just going to reference to this diagram. It's only when you realize, there we go, that's not what I want. When you realize what's actually happened, what's seemingly happening here, you realize the full extent of the ego's illusion, that you then will choose to let it go, because you realize what a crazy idea is it, and what a horror show it is. And that's what he's training our minds to do with the course. Over and over, he's teaching us, this is the nature of the ego, this is the nature of this world, and you don't want it, so let it go. Let it go, lay it aside, transcend it, and go back to source, go back home to this transcendent dimension, which we call God or love, oneness, pure formless awareness. A state of mind where none of these illusions exist. So perhaps I'll just spend a few minutes on this diagram. There's quite a lot going on here. It's probably the first time, Christine's probably the first time you've seen it. I imagine you wouldn't have seen it anywhere else. So this is the course's kind of the metaphysics of it. What it's saying, as a teaching, and then that's applied in the teaching in the practice of forgiveness. So the simple idea is that there is a delusion going on in the mind. There's the thoughts of separation that seemingly happen in this one mind, the mind of God, love, oneness, pure formless awareness. The thoughts of separation seem to occur. The mind got excited by that. It desired the idea. It said this could be a better idea than oneness, and our desire for it made it real. So now the next step from that just tiny mad idea was to believe it. And so when we believed it, developed this idea of the ego. Ego, it's also called consciousness. So a lot of people talk about consciousness in New Age teachings. Well, in course terminology, consciousness is actually the separated mind. It's the mind that believes in separation. So it's not awareness, which transcends that. There's another part of your mind that transcends all idea of separation. The ego is consciousness or the belief in separation. That's all it is. Also in the Christian terms known as Satan, the devil. It's the idea that denies God or love or oneness, pure formless awareness is true and real. And it gives you an individual identity. So you now have literally your in, division, and duality. So there's a division in the mind, a split in the mind, and duality means not one but two things going on. And that's the consequence of separation. You now have a split. You have two things, not one thing going on. You've got oneness, but you've denied that, and you've now believed in a false identity that's covered over oneness. And so there's the fundamental split in the mind. And now you seem to see other people and other things outside, because individuality demands separation. Right? So it gives you a separate identity. And this is what the ego cherishes above all else. This is your self-concept. I have an individual self. This is who I am. We define ourselves by it. We name it. We've got individual names. We've got bodies that seem to be different from other people's bodies. We've got lives, personal identities, and so on. And all of that is separate identity named, which you'll notice is an acronym for sin. So all of this idea of individuality is underpinned by guilt and sin, because you, in order to have an individual identity, you must believe that you really have done the impossible and you really have destroyed God or love or oneness. You've destroyed this in order to have your individual identity, because this contradicts oneness. You can't be separate and one. So in order to have its identity, the ego must believe that it's destroyed love. And for that, it will feel eternally guilty and sinful. And this is the original sin they talk about in the Bible. It's the feeling that just at the core of my being, something's wrong. We've all experienced that, haven't we? It's like at the very core of my being, I don't feel okay. I feel evil, sinful, guilty. Because at the core of the ego's identity is the denial of love and the destruction of love. And it has to believe that in order to have its own identity. So do you see why guilt and sin underpin the delusion of a separate identity named?
I had a question, sorry to interrupt. I had a question, like kind of a question or realization today actually around that, because how can you deny love as a child or as a little girl, for example? Like that's what came to me. How could I deny love as a child?
Well, you already denied love by becoming a child, you see. Just by becoming human, you denied love. We only invented the human story because we decided to be separate. So the human condition comes as a result of separation. So the child, seemingly on her own, has already denied love in a body. You've already done the denial of love, and you're now in a body because you denied love or your own pure formless awareness.
Mm.
And then within the construct of now the human life, you've come all the way down the ladder of separation through guilt and sin and fear, false expectation of punishment appearing real, because if you believe in sin and guilt, then you must believe in fear that something's going to punish you, and then you have to invent a fearful, wrathful, vengeful God, which we've done. See that in the Old Testament very clearly, to punish us. And we're born into all of this, and it all seems to be very real. We seem to be surrounded by things that threaten us. We seem to be apart, alone. We seem to be abandoned and rejected by God and by other people. So the little girl on her own going, well, I don't feel loved because maybe my parents have abandoned me, or whatever on the level of form has told her that she's abandoned. But actually the abandonment has happened at a much higher level. And the truth is, God didn't abandon you. You abandoned God. We chose to separate from our true awareness. That's the problem.
By coming into a body.
Well, the body is the projection of it. When we chose to separate, we didn't know what would happen. So we went, oh, this is a good idea. Let's go for it. Have a separate identity without realizing the consequences of it. But these are the inevitable consequences of separation. You will have a belief in individuality. You will have guilt and sin. You will have a false expectation of punishment appearing real. So now you have guilt, sin, and fear underpinning your separate identity. And that's all pretty horrific for the mind. The mind can't stand that. So it tries to run away because it feels like it's going to be punished and killed by this imaginary God it's now set up, which is an illusion. And we ran away into a body and into a world to try and escape the punishment, which is insane, really. Well, that's a crazy thing to do because none of it's real. You're not going to be punished. There is no entity trying to punish you. There's only this love. There's only pure formless awareness of perfect love, which has no idea of guilt and sin and punishment. This is all your own invention. So it's a delusion. And we come into the world because we're deluded. We invent an external world. We literally go out of our minds. The Big Bang is the projection of guilt out of our minds into apparently a physical universe, which we then come into, still out of our minds, now seemingly in a body, as separate forms. And the universe has got all these separate fragmented forms of life, which seem to be separate and have their own life. But underneath it all, there's still this one awareness. So that's the one life, the one awareness we talk about, which is still underlying all of the separation. And it's our job to become aware of that oneness. Spiritual awakening is becoming more and more aware of that oneness and denying the separation. And that's the reinterpretation. You see the blue arrows are the reinterpretation of the ego's dream by the Holy Spirit or the awareness of oneness. So the Holy Spirit, this awareness of oneness that remembers this, will look upon all this. It'll perceive it and it'll go, but it's not true. So someone's attacking you, apparently. It's not true because it's just a part of this thought system of individuality and guilt and sin and fear, and that demands attack and punishment. It's not true. So I don't believe it. And now you're correcting your belief. So as these things show up in your dream, you're bringing them to the Holy Spirit, interpreting them correctly and saying that they're not true. So now, if they're not true, how can I suffer? Why am I suffering from the apparent consequences of what's not true? Well, logically you can't, can you? It's not true. So this is the application of a higher level understanding and logic into the dream, which comes from false logic, so that you turn it right side up. Your perception is corrected. You no longer perceive all of this as real. It no longer has the power to enslave you, to hurt you, and you stay rooted in this awareness. So this awareness is now coming through your mind and you're perceiving correctly from this awareness, which is sanity. And that is what's going to help you climb the ladder back up from this really dark self-concept of being an individual, believing that you're an individual person in a body, victim of an unfair world, living a helpless, enervated little life, which is an acronym for hell, limitation, lack, loneliness, and suffering before you die. It's not a pretty picture, really, to be in this separated self-concept. So it's to move away from that, and as you let go, you bring the Holy Spirit's awareness in to whatever the dream is showing you. You let go of these misperceptions. You climb out of that. You go back up the ladder. If this is a ladder, you come down the ladder. You've got to climb back up it, and you start reinterpreting the projections of the ego. You start reinterpreting the guilt and the sin and all the attack and the hatred and the fear and the death, and you look at it differently, and because you realize it's not real. And every time you do that, you've climbed another rung on the ladder back home. And so eventually you get to the point where you realize that there's only one problem, and that's a tiny mad idea of separation, which you believed in. And you can be done with it. You no longer believe in it anymore. And then the idea is gone. When the idea is gone, the ego is gone, because the ego is just that idea believed in. And then what remains is pure formless awareness of perfect love, or God. And that is then the perfectly enlightened state. You've gone home. All of this stuff in the red ceases to exist, because in truth, it never really existed. It's an illusion. This is the only thing that's eternal that lasts forever. That's always been there, always will be there. It's never changed. It's the eternal underlying nature of true reality that underpins the dream, which has been called many things. God, Brahman. In the East, they call it Brahman, the absolute, Godhead. The ground of being, philosophers have called it. You could call it beingness. You could call it oneness. You could call it knowledge, truth, love, many names. But the names are just pointers to a transcendent awareness that doesn't really have a name. It's just a pure awareness. So that's just a little bit of the metaphysics underpinning this, which quite a short message today I wanted to go into. So any comments or questions on that? Christine, does that make sense? Kind of dived in the deep end, yeah, but you're muted. I'll ask you to unmute. What did you say?
Everything I go along with, this makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah. Well,
working towards awareness and oneness has been my path. It's nice to have it all broken down into these little devils. Bring upon
well, it's to
ourselves.
see the delusion. The course is really saying, I can't teach you the meaning of love, for that's beyond what can be taught. But I can teach you how to become aware of the blocks to the awareness of love's presence.
Yes, exactly.
Let me just go there. I'll show you the introduction. So this is Course in Miracles, which fortunately is all available free online. If I can just get there. So the entire thing is freely available. There's no copyright, which is probably by divine design. So you can just go and read it. So there's the introduction, which really summarizes it beautifully in very just a couple of paragraphs. So do you want to read a couple of lines? This is A Course in Miracles. Christine, will you read for us?
Yeah, sure. I can't see very clearly because your picture is cutting off some of it.
Okay.
This is A Course in Miracles. It is a required course. Only the time you take is voluntary. Free will does not mean that you can establish the curriculum. It means only that you can elect what you want to take at a given time. The course does not.
Just pause it there, because there's some interesting stuff just to discuss. So he's saying it's a required course, whether you take it through the form of A Course in Miracles or not. There's many parts, but this curriculum of awakening to your true self is a required course. If you're human, then that's your course. That's your curriculum. Saying only the time that you take it is voluntary. Time that you take for it, I would translate that as, is voluntary. But the curriculum is set because the truth is set, and that's beyond your ability to change. So free will does not mean you can establish the curriculum, because the curriculum is established by truth, which is beyond your ability to change. It means only that you can elect what you want to take at a given time. So what do you choose to learn? And that seems to be your choice. Some people are open to learning this truth, others are not. And so we have the differences in time. In the end, everyone will awaken, because everyone's in this process of awakening. That's the curriculum. But you have a choice as to when you want to do it. So are you going to do it this lifetime? You're going to wait for another one? How much are you going to delay? How much suffering do you want to experience before you wake up? That's really the question. Okay, then he goes, I'll ask someone else to read. Susie, if you can read number 6. The Course does not aim at teaching the meaning of love.
The Course does not aim at teaching the meaning of love, for that is beyond what can be taught.
Just start again, because the first bit was cut off.
The course does not aim at teaching the meaning of love. For that is beyond what can be taught.
Yeah. So that's what he's saying. A reference to it. He can't teach you the meaning of this loving presence. The meaning of love is beyond what can be taught. Let's go to back to there. Saying, I can't teach you this because it's beyond what can be taught. It's your true nature. It's beyond teaching. It's a pure experience. It will come when you're ready. But what I can do, and carry on, number 7, does aim, however.
It does aim, however, at removing the blocks to the awareness of love's presence, which is your natural inheritance.
Yeah. So it's about removing the blocks to what is already there. So the beauty of this teaching is it's saying you're already perfect, you're already whole, you're already complete, everything's already there. So you don't need to become that. It's not having to become more. You actually just have to let go of what you're not. So instead of trying to, when you're in personal growth circles, I say, well, the world's a blank canvas and you're going to paint your masterpiece on it. And you're going to try and become something more. No, it's actually about the opposite process. Look at it as a sculpture. And Michelangelo talked about how he sculpted things like the David, and he'd say, well, it's already there. The David's already there in the block, and my job is to cut it away, to cut away what's not David, to reveal it. And that's what this teaching is all about. Removing the blocks to the awareness of love's presence is cutting away what's not your authentic self. So you reveal what's true, what's always been true. It was always within. The David was always within the block. It just needed to be revealed. Does that make sense? And that's a profoundly different approach from I'm not okay as I am, I'm not quite good enough, and I'm going to try and become something better. Because you're always coming then from a place of lack, of a deficient self, trying to become better. And the more you try and fix that deficient self, the more you're confirming that you're a deficient self. You see the problem? It's a never-ending cycle, which is called desire, craving and desire. And the Buddha noticed that 2,500 years ago, and he said this craving or desire is the source of all suffering. Second noble truth of Buddhism, that insight, because you keep searching, and in the seeking for something to make yourself better and fix your problems, you're confirming in your mind that you're not okay. You're not whole and complete already. You see the problem? And so it doesn't matter what you do and what you achieve, you still have the sense of a deficient self. And it's only when you turn it around and say, no, I'm actually already whole and complete and perfect. And I just have to let go of what's not that, these false beliefs. I just need to shed these. So it's more of an unlearning and an undoing process than learning something that's going to make you into a better person. And that's a profound difference in orientation. So I've done a lot of personal growth before this. And the personal growth mindset was always, you're not quite good enough as you are, but do this and do this and do this technique and go and achieve this. And then you'll become a better self and you're going to be happier. That's what they're telling you. And when you do all of this stuff, you'll be happier. That's the assumption. Well, I did that. I went down the track, of it for many years. And finally, kind of hit a brick wall, realizing that it wasn't the case. I didn't achieve my big, hairy, impossible goal, which was to be a champion squash player. I didn't come close, in fact. And I'm very grateful I didn't, because I realized a simple truth then. I realized exactly what this, Yeshua and the spiritual masters are teaching us, that desire for something more is never going to make you happy. It's only when you accept what you truly are that you come to any sense of happiness and peace that's authentic. And so it's a very different teaching from what mostly passes for personal growth or spiritual teachings in this world. It's saying you're already that. Just drop everything that's not that. Cut away. You need to become a master sculptor, not a master painter. Just chisel away at all the rough edges that are not you. Let go of those, and what will reveal itself is your true self, which he calls the Christ, the one self that you truly are. That's your authentic self that connects you with God, which is this state of transcendent awareness. God is just an experience of perfect love, pure formless awareness of perfect love, we call it. So perhaps I'll show you this. Holy Trinity. So this diagram kind of explains how this Trinity works, which is one of the most misunderstood concepts in Christianity. Most Christians don't understand what the Holy Trinity is. Christian theologians have debated it for centuries. They don't really fully get it, in my opinion, because it's an operating system. It's very simple. It's an operating system for your mind to help you to get out of your delusion of being a separate self and to transcend all of that and return your mind to the pure formless awareness of perfect love, which is God. But you need a way out. So this is so transcendent. It has nothing to do with the people, things, places, events, circumstances, situations, all the traumas, the ups and the downs, the successes and the failures, and all the experiences that seem to exist and happen in the physical universe of time and space. Nothing whatsoever to do with that. It's completely transcendent. It's formless. There's no form. So it's eternal, it's formless. So now how do you relate to a world of illusion from that awareness? That's the question. And so Yeshua gives us this idea of Father, Son, God, Father, Source, Son being the extension of this source as a self concept, but it's your true self concept. It's the higher self that knows that it is really one in truth, that knows that it comes from this one awareness. This is its source, and there's really only one of it. It doesn't believe in separation. It knows that there's really only one self, which we share. Everyone is that self. So it's not separating you from this truth. It's actually confirming it in your mind. So from this self-concept, you can now perceive correctly. You now have true perceptions, which are called Christ's vision and A Course in Miracles. They're also called miracles, forgiveness. We call it letting go. It's been called surrender in some spiritual terms. Acceptance is another term for it. Salvation. That's a Course in Miracles term. At 1 month, also Course in Miracles. Enlightenment, typically in the East. Awakening. Many names for it. In fact, maybe I should just add that one in if I can. Awakening. There's many names for this process, but it's the same process. Whichever way you take it, whatever curriculum you take, whether you're doing this through A Course in Miracles or you're doing it through Buddhism or another spiritual path, in the end, it's the same curriculum, same process. And that process is to reinterpret all of your experiences in this world. So things, come up, they crop up, and they seem to be difficult and traumatic. I'll just show you this timeline of sharing a few diagrams just as we go. So you have all these experiences in time and space that go on in an average human life. So that's the timeline is the red line, and then experiences are the little notches, and then the arrows are the perception of it. So the red arrows are the ego's psychological and emotional attachment to these things, and they define you if you allow them to. So I've had let's say my parent died, major trauma as a child. Now, if you attach to that, you make it real, that defines you. I have a self-concept going on that I've been abandoned, I've lost. And now your entire life is based on that faulty self-concept. Now you're seeking love to replace the parent you lost, but you get rejected. So that tells you again that you're not worthy of love, you're abandoned. Then you marry someone who's a surrogate parent, but that doesn't work out because actually you don't feel like you're worthy of love. So you can't really connect with them. So then you divorce, you lose your job, all this kind of stuff that goes on in the average human life. And for most people, they believe it's all real. And so they have a psychological and emotional attachment to the events that defines them. That's their story. That becomes their self. And they are rooted onto the timeline. They believe they're a body. They believe they're the separate self, the personal identity. And they've denied that the source is real. What the Course is saying is that there is an opportunity at any point in the dream to reinterpret it, coming from this true awareness. God, Father, Source, Love. And this can now interpret it. It's like the step-down transformer. So go to my other diagram. Through the Christ, that this one self that knows that it's really not a separate self, that it's one self, that it's actually part of this higher awareness. It now reinterprets the dream. So whatever's happening in the dream world, people, things, places, events, circumstances, and it now perceives it differently. And it says, well, none of this is really true. It's all part of this false self-concept. So I don't make this real. I no longer have the ego psychological and emotional attachment to it. I release that. I let it go. And I'm able to experience love and peace and happiness and joy, which come from this, even in this situation. And there's the letting go. So I promised to reveal the one essential skill in this masterclass that you need. And it's very simple. It's the skill of letting go. You need to be able to let go of whatever psychological and emotional attachments you have in order to access this pure formless awareness of perfect love, and allow this awareness to come back into your mind and remove the blocks, the red arrows, and this whole timeline. Everything in red is the block, are the blocks to the awareness of love's presence that he's talking about. So if you go back here, which is where we were, Course does not aim at teaching the meaning of love, for that's beyond what can be taught. Okay? So he can't teach you that experience. It will come to your mind when you're ready. But it aims at removing the blocks to the awareness of love's presence, which is your natural inheritance. So it reinterprets all of these blocks, and it simply says these blocks are not really there. They're not true. They're all false. Actually, what's still there is love. When you do that correction in your mind, you let go of your belief in this, and you allow love to come back in. Then that's a miracle, and that's letting go, and that's forgiveness. And it's that process that's really the transformation of mind. And you do it moment by moment throughout your life. So the idea is it's a work in progress. As things come up, your ego gets triggered, you get to see the block, and then when you let it go, that block is no longer there. It's been dissipated in its effect. And then going forward, you may no longer have it. So you don't necessarily then need another trauma, because there's nothing causing the trauma. The idea behind this is that the world is caused by your mind. Let's just go here. So the integral model says the world is a projection of your inner state. It's individual interior state of mind is what causes the external level of behavior, observed behaviors, performance outcomes. So don't seek to change this, because it's just an effect. Seek to change your mind about the world. Seek not to change the world, says Yeshua, but seek to change your mind about the world. So it's all about changing your mind, changing your perception, which means you must change your core beliefs. You must deconstruct the core beliefs that underlie this. And those core beliefs are your self-concept. So it all comes down to your self-concept. What do you believe about yourself? And the art of letting go is letting go of that self-concept systematically and progressively by reinterpreting all of your experiences in this red box, or looking at it from this perspective on the red timeline, reinterpreting all of this and saying, no, none of this is true. Actually, what's still true is this awareness, pure formless awareness of perfect love is still the truth, and I remain in that truth. I will not be confused. I will not be tricked by these appearances of a reality. I remain rooted in true reality. And then you experience a transcendent peace, and love and joy and all these spiritual qualities that we've heard about, and various masters have demonstrated, like Yeshua and the Buddha, but for most people are elusive, because if you have a separate self going on that's causing you to get psychologically and emotionally attached, then those states are blocked. Those are the blocks to awareness of love's presence and your peace of mind. So your job then becomes, in the dream, to remove the blocks as they show up, which they do in life. That's how life works. As some kind of difficulty, problem, trauma, whatever it is, you see it as an opportunity rather than as something terrible, to remove the block to the awareness of love's presence, to let it go and restore your mind to this awareness. And if you get good at that, then you master the art of letting go, and there's just the truth is restored systematically and progressively to your mind. So over your lifetime, you keep going here and you keep teaching yourself in every situation, this is the truth. By the time you get to the end, death, you lay the body aside, there's just a letting go. It's, well, the body's not really that important. None of this was really real. And I'm ready to just merge my mind back into this awareness. There's no more blocks left. That would then be the enlightened state where you would no longer need to come back. If you die and you have no access to this because you've denied it your entire life, you simply bypass it. You come back, the ego's psychological and emotional attachments, otherwise known as your karma, pull you back, and you come back into another body to experience another life where all of these beliefs can be projected out and experienced as real. And that's what pulls you back into the dream of being human and time and space. So letting go or forgiveness is the way out. It transcends the dream, takes you into the truth while you're still here. You're training your mind that this is the only truth while you're here, so that you prepare yourself for the day when, okay, there's no more body, there's no more world. But if you still believe in it, then guess what? It's going to come back because you believe in it. By your belief, you make it real. And then you come back into it because that's what your mind has chosen. So just go back in here. Let's finish this. So he says it does aim at removing the blocks to awareness of love's presence, which is your natural inheritance. So it becomes, the key thing becomes, can you remove the blocks? Can you let go of those blocks? Which is why forgiveness or letting go is absolutely the critical skill for awakening. And then he says the opposite of love is fear. In fact, Aurelie, can you read the rest? The opposite of love is fear, but what is all-encompassing can have no opposite.
Where, sorry?
From number 8.
The opposite of love is fear, but what is all-encompassing can have no opposite.
So that's a statement of there's apparently duality, the first part of the sentence. The opposite of love is fear. Apparently there's duality, but what is all-encompassing can have no opposite. So then he takes you, we look at visually, he takes you from this timeline. Apparently there's fear, there's red, all the red stuff going on as well. And he's taking you beyond that. And the second part of the sentence, he's going, okay, well, we can just go, whoop. But what is all-encompassing, this blue circle, what is all-encompassing can have no opposite. So he's taking you from time in that sentence and duality up into a non-dual awareness, which has no opposite, in one sentence, which is quite profound. He does that a lot in the course, which is why it's a bit mind-bending. It's like, whoa, what's he just done there? Well, he's just done a phase shift from one reality to another in a single sentence. Okay, carry on. This course can therefore be summed up.
This course can therefore be summed up very simply in this way. Nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. And herein lies the peace of God.
So that's it. It's been said, if you understood those lines fully, then you wouldn't need the course. You wouldn't need to carry on. I get it, of course. You close the book because I already get it. but we don't get it fully. So then we study the Course to understand what he means. So nothing real can be threatened. What does he mean by that? Anyone? Or shall I?
Yeah, if you are that pure love awareness, then everything else is unreal.
Just can't be threatened. So in this awareness, in the blue, which is reality, can't be threatened, right? It doesn't matter what's happening in the red stuff. This remains unthreatened. It remains as it is, untouched. So it's the idea that it's invulnerable, it's untouchable, it's unchangeable, it's unshakable. Nothing that happens in the dream can affect it. Fortunately, because otherwise it would have been forever destroyed, as the ego believes it has, and you couldn't access it anymore. It would really be impossible to awaken. But it's not. The idea of the destruction of this is a delusion. You cannot destroy that which is eternal. It's always been there, it always will be. What we've done is we've covered it over with a veil of illusion. So the illusion is that we've invented with our mind all this stuff in time and space, projected it out based on false beliefs. And we've believed in the unreal. All of this red stuff is the belief in the unreal. And we've believed in the story, the human condition, the timeline, time and space, the ego psychological emotional attachments, all the drama of it. We've believed in that so much that we've forgotten the truth, that this is still true. And it always has been and always will be true. So now our job becomes to let go of those beliefs, undo those beliefs, because they're just false and they don't serve you. And realize that nothing unreal exists. So nothing in the red, nothing in the timeline. So all the red stuff, the box, the people, places, things, events, circumstances, situations, trauma, successes, failures, and all experiences that seem to exist and happen in the physical universe of time and space. None of them really exist. They are, in fact, all just a projection of your ego mind. And as we saw in this quote, let's go back here. Okay, it's just disappeared there. We'll find it. Gmail does this. Apologies. Anger is an acid. It can do more harm to the vessel in which it is stored than to anything on which it is poured. And this one, each of your perceptions of external reality is a pictorial representation of your own attack thoughts. That's what we've done. The world is a pictorial representation of our own attack on source. We've attacked ourselves, our true reality, denied it, and then we live in this world that's a projection of that belief. And all of this must be undone. We cannot continue to believe in this if we wish to awaken. That's the essential idea. So we must deny the unreality of the dream. Nothing unreal exists. And when we understand that nothing real can be threatened, so only the blue is real and nothing unreal, none of the red is true or real. Let's go on the timeline. We understand that, then we find the peace of God. Been called by Paul the Apostle the peace of God that surpasses all understanding, because it's not logical in the ego's view. Suffering is very, very justified, because look at what's happened. You've got all these experiences and your life's been traumatic, so of course you're going to suffer. It's only the transcendent reinterpretation by the Holy Spirit coming from this awareness that will free you, and realize that none of what happened, seemed to happen in the dream is real. Nothing real can be threatened. Nothing here that's of truth can be threatened at all. It's perfect, whole, eternal, and nothing unreal. Whatever's in time and space and coming from the separate self, projected out all the time-based experiences, all the traumas, the eco-psychological and emotional attachment to the unreal, none of that really exists. So those two insights, this is true and real and cannot be threatened, this does not exist, will bring you the peace of God, which is a very happy experience. That's what you want. So built into this is the idea that you must let go. In order to realize that nothing real can be threatened and nothing unreal exists, You must let go of your belief in the unreal. That's the key. And then the more you do that, the more you start realizing that nothing real can be threatened. And because you're rooted in that timeless awareness, and you realize it's timeless and nothing that happens on the level of form can threaten it. So it really can't be threatened. And this becomes an experientially known truth rather than just something intellectual where you go, okay, well, that's a nice idea, but I don't really know it. I don't really know it in my own experience. So the course is necessary because it's to know this in your own experience. And that's what enlightenment is. When you absolutely know this to be true in your heart of hearts, then there's no more need for studying or teaching, no more need for learning, because you already have that which is true. You don't need to, as he says, you don't need to study and learn what you already know. It's pointless. But until we do fully know this, then we study and we practice this letting go, to let go of the unreal and restore our mind to the real, which brings us the peace of God, which is a happy state to be in. And that's about the best we can do in a dream world, is to have this transcendent peace, not be fazed by anything. Okay, so that's a little whirlwind introduction overview of what this is all about. Any questions, comments on that? Otherwise, we'll go into a little meditation on it to actually apply it, I think. So Christine, any comments, questions?
No, it makes perfect sense to me. It's what I go along with.
Great. Yeah, well, it's a universal truth. There actually is no other truth. All paths in the end up in a non-dual kind of realization of truth, which is just being very explicitly taught in A Course in Miracles. So there's no fudging anything. Like you got to choose between these realities. You can't have both. You can't be in the ego, the false self, and in the world, and also in your true self, and out of this world in heaven. You must choose. So it comes down to choice, and when you let go of the dream, the unreal, then you're choosing the real. So forgiveness or letting go is the choice for your true self and true reality. And you make that over and over and over again. Train your mind to know ultimately that there is no other choice. Eventually, you collapse the idea of choice. Because if you've chosen this so completely, you've denied this so completely, then there's no longer a choice. This is not even a choice in your mind. It doesn't even exist for you. And so then that's the non-dual awareness of truth, that there is only truth and only the truth is true, only love is true. And that's then becomes your experience. And that's the enlightened state. Only the truth is true. All illusions have been let go of, and you simply you live in that. Whether you're in a body or you're not, you abide in the state. When your body's laid aside, you go back into the state, which is heaven, nirvana, the Buddha called it, and there's nowhere else to go. That's the end of the road. You remain in eternal bliss forever, which is not something that the ego can really accept. So it's always trying to pull you down onto the timeline to give you another identity, which is its alternative to this. The veil of illusion. The world is just the mirror, the mask that's been projected out by the ego to convince itself that it is real. So the illusion is in the mind, first and foremost. It's the illusion of a false self. And then that's projected out into the world to give it apparent form and reality. And that's what they call the veil of illusion, because it's used to cover over the truth of this awareness. Pure formless awareness of perfect love.
Yes, and the letting go of the beliefs and all the programming from childhood and past lives is what it's all about. It's becoming aware of what our beliefs and conditionings are and letting them go.
Yeah. And that's the way out. whatever you call that. You could call it forgiveness, you can call it letting go, surrender, acceptance. I just like letting go because it's very obvious what you're doing. You know, you're letting go of the mental and emotional attachments to that, the story around it, your obsessive compulsive thinking around it, the emotions that you feel around it. You're letting go of that, and you're allowing this spacious awareness, pure formless awareness, to come back in to your mind. That presence, as it's also been called, is what heals the mind. Then the mind is at peace and calm and restful, and that has a profound impact on the body and on that person's behavior and what happens going forward in the dream. Because as you change internally, then your external world changes. As within, so without. But you know, and the most powerful way of changing the inner world is letting go of what's false.
What we do in life alignment, this third step is releasing, letting go. And with the release comes the realization of the love of who we really are. And that changes the process, changes the behavior, and brings us more into alignment with the truth of who we really are.
Yeah. And any authentic spiritual path or teaching is doing that. It's the one thing that's common. This idea that you're letting go of the false and you're opening yourself to the true. That's the common thread among all the different spiritual teachings and paths. The ones that are authentic involve a letting go. The ones that are inauthentic are actually attaching you more to the world. And they're saying, oh, you'll find the answer in the world. So go and attach to whatever it is, more money, another relationship, more sex, drugs, rock and roll, whatever it is that the mind wants. This is going to make you happy. And it doesn't make you happy because you're not letting go of the real problem. The real problem is your idea that you're a separate self, and that the separate self has its own will, and that these various things are actually going to make you happy and fill this void in you that is only filled by love. They cannot do that because they are not real. The lady called Marisa Peer talks about her experience with celebrities. So she's a hypnotherapist who's treated people like Princess Diana, Amy Winehouse, various Hollywood sort of A-list celebrities. So it's always the same story. So what these people do is they feel inadequate, dysfunctional somehow, and then they go, okay, well, I'll become rich and famous. I'll become a celebrity. Take Marilyn Monroe, classic example. Become a celebrity, most famous woman in the world. Everyone loves her, but she still feels like she's not good enough because that was the original program that caused her to go and seek fame and fortune. So she's achieved all of this, but actually it hasn't made her any happier. In fact, she's even more miserable. And now she's got nowhere else to go. So she commits suicide because she's like, there's no point. I've done it. I'm the most famous, sexiest, one of the richest women in the world, and most desired women in the world, and yet I'm miserable. And so my plan, the ego's plan, hasn't worked. And then she commits suicide. However, if she'd gone and she'd awakened spiritually, she used that as an opportunity to awaken spiritually, she could have a major awakening. Because she could have gone, oh, it was all false. What I believed in was an illusion. That whole self-concept of Marilyn Monroe, and she even had another name, and it was an image, a false self-image, which hasn't made me happy. But actually happiness lies when I let that go. And she could have found enlightenment. She will at some stage. She's just not in that lifetime. So that's the sort of universal story of these celebrities. They get there and they hit a wall and they're like, okay, the ego's failed them. They actually achieved the success that it promised them, and then they're not happy. In fact, they're even more miserable. And then there's nowhere else to go but down. So then they sink into the various dysfunctions, addictions, and so on. And she comes along and says, well, just accept the truth that you are enough as you are. That's all she does. Nothing rocket. And it's all the other psychotherapists like, well, how do you get such amazing results? So, well, it's not rocket science. Just tell them that they're good enough as they are. And get them to say an affirmation as many times, I am enough. And if they start believing that, then their delusion's over. And they don't need all of the stuff, the money, the fame, whatever else they thought was going to make them happy anymore, because they're okay as they are. They realize that I'm enough as I am. So this you see this truth everywhere. You see that it works everywhere. Whatever you call the modality, whatever you call the path, she's got hypnotherapy, but there's a letting go of the false self and an acceptance of the true self that has to happen in order for healing to take place. And this is just another approach to it. What I like about the course is it's very explicit. There's no room for the ego. There's no wiggle room. He's just calling it like it is. He's saying, look, the illusion is the illusion is the illusion, and you cannot mix truth and illusion. You must choose between them. So choose very clearly, against the illusion, which is everything that you probably believe in currently, and your personal identity and what you desire and what you fear. But pretty much your whole life is illusion. You must choose against that, and you must choose this level of transcendent awareness. You must choose God, love, oneness, pure formless awareness consistently in every situation. Whenever you test it, you must choose that. Otherwise, you're choosing the illusion. Those are the choices. There's only two. So very, very simple teaching, but the difficulty comes in applying it, because it's very easy to get confused. Ego comes in and it's spun a whole story, and we forget the truth, and it requires us to go back to principles and be taught the truth over and over again, and that's what he's done in this course. So there's 365 daily lessons. There's a text, which is the theory. There's 31 chapters. It's about 670 pages of text, which is this theory. It's a simple theory, but he knows that we need to be taught it over and over and over again. And he goes into the various delusions of the ego and in quite some detail. So we learn it. We're learning what the ego does, and once we understand it, then we can let it go. And then, so that's the theory. And then there's a workbook, which is the practice. So say, okay, well, I'm going to give you these daily lessons, which is a simple key idea. Let's take, nothing I see means anything. And then he gives you a little practice. And this is actually application of the ideas. You're training your mind in this new way of thinking. So theory with, application, practice is how you would learn it. So it's a well-designed course. And then there's a manual for teachers, which is essentially a frequently asked questions. So it's all questions. Who are God's teachers? Who are their pupils? And that's for clarification, to help you to understand some things that maybe weren't covered in the core teaching of the text. And then there's a few other bits and pieces. There's clarification of terms as well. There's a preface, and there's a couple of supplements, which were subsequently scribed, which are in the next edition. And so we work through it. Essentially, what I've done is created a program to work through all of this in a year. So it's a systematic, progressive approach to learning this, starting with the text, and then going into the workbook. We do a lesson a day, one lesson every day, for 365 days, and study the text, which takes, and text and the manual for teachers and all the supplements takes. If you break it down, you chunk it down section by section, you do one section a day. It's a year program, and I guide you through that. You get daily emails saying this is what the material is for day, and then we study it together in these sessions.
Beautiful.
So we do these live calls where we study whatever the lesson is for the day, and do a meditation on it, and discuss it. And so there's a helping people to understand it and understand it on a deeper, more experiential level. So the program is starting again. The course, it's a 1-year program, but it's broken down into a 6-week course, which is an introduction. We do the first 35 lessons of the workbook. So from 1 to 35, we do the first 5 chapters of the text. So there, chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 till beginning of chapter 6. And then there's some other tools and resources around it that we go through, which are in this manual. So this is the course manual. So we would do a session on this to cover it. We do a session on 7 truths. We do a session on the integral model. So you're putting in place all these foundations. So you're learning, all this systematically and progressively. And then I guide you through a transformational process, which is in the second part. So there's lots of letting go techniques. So it's a content rich. There's lots of material and learning of all designed to help you to let go better. And then I take you through these transformational exercises where you get guided through this. Day by day, week by week. We do group sessions every Sunday where we'll talk about the exercises and ultimately get to the core. Naming your game process is designed to reveal your ego. So it's a group exercise that's very effective in showing you the ego and helping you to establish, what's your game? How do you play this? And then we turn it around. So the turnaround comes with your essence identity. Each of these are sessions which we do in a group, guide you through it. So there's an experience that goes along with this, where you actually have a transformational experience of shifting from one identity into another and starting to know who you really are. And then it's how do you integrate that into your life? So it's a blueprint for your higher self. Again, that's another session. So how does this actually look? What are your values? How does this essence, how does that express itself in the world? And then that will express itself as a purpose. What's your higher purpose? What are you called upon to do to express this self and learn that you are this? And that will reveal itself, because the Spirit wants to use you for its purposes in this world. And that's where your inspiration is. So it's a pretty comprehensive course. It's introduction to A Course in Miracles. It's about mastering the art of letting go. We're certainly getting to grips with it. And then there's a personal transformation that happens at the core of it. So at the end of it, you're not the same self as the self you thought you were when you went in to the course. That's what I facilitate. In a group, there's you met some of the members. They've gone because I'm talking about stuff they already know about. But so you're journeying with what we call mighty companions, and in that sort of field of transformation, there's awakening that becomes almost inevitable. If you join these calls and you do this work, it's going to create profound shifts and changes just in 6 weeks. And then after the 6-week program, there's an ongoing 1 year, because I didn't want to just leave people at 6 weeks, just an introduction to this. So okay, well, let's work through the whole thing. There's an entire year's course or program, which you can carry on with if you want to. But initially,
how long are the sessions?
So the sessions are anything from an hour to 3 hours, depending on what we're covering. So generally, average would probably be about 2 hours. The Sunday sessions can be longer because we cover more. It's experiential. But you could do your part and then leave. An hour to 3 hours. You can leave. Generally, I'm structuring the session so we do like a power hour, and then you can leave at that point if you need to. All of them are recorded, so I'll just show you that because that's kind of relevant to your question. All of them are recorded, so you can get the recordings on YouTube, and I also send them to a Telegram group, which you join. So you get the recordings as voice recordings. So you can listen to all the recorded stuff. You can't make the live sessions. So the logistics of it are Sunday the 5th of February to Sunday the 19th of March. It's a 43-day course, so 6 weeks in 1 day. There's live online meditation and discussion sessions, Monday to Friday. So there's an afternoon session, which might work for you, lunchtime. You can join for an hour. We do power hour, and then continue probably for a couple of hours if you wanted to. And then in the evenings, we're going to be doing the text. So that's Monday to Friday at this time, 9 p.m., which is hopefully still doable for you. It'll last an hour and a half. So you'll still be in bed by 10:30, sort of 11.
Perfect.
Yeah, which can work for some. I know some people go to bed at 9, but for a lot of people, 9 o'clock still functioning. So yeah, and it's at the end of the day, so everything else is finished, and you can do that as your sort of pre-bed. And in the evenings, we'll study the text of the Course in Miracles, read it and discuss it. And the afternoons will be about the workbook lesson and any other teachings related to the course manual and the email that I send out and so on. Again,
So
all of it's
3
recorded. So
sessions
if you didn't,
daily. 3 sessions daily?
No, two.
2.
Yeah. So it's
And it's
one in the
optional.
afternoon, one in the evening.
Optional. You don't have to attend everything.
No, I mean, absolutely optional. I just, I can then cover all the material. There's a lot to cover. So if you can't make the live sessions, then you join the, you can get the recording. Yeah, you can listen to the recording whenever. It could be driving, walking, cooking. You just put it on, and it's pretty convenient. It's on your phone as a voice recording in a Telegram group. So you just play the recording, and there it is. So a lot of people just listen. And the idea is just, try and immerse yourself as much as you can. I'm giving you all the material, and you go, okay, well, this is what I can and can't do. And you work out, what's feasible for you. I would definitely make a plan to do the Sunday sessions, because those are very powerful. That's where we do the group transformational work. So join the Sunday sessions, because otherwise you miss out on the sessions there and happen again, and that takes you through this transformational process. So I definitely make a commitment for the Sunday afternoons, and the others, fit in accordingly. So sessions last 1.5 to 3 hours. So for some Sundays it can be longer. It depends on how many people in the course, because it's group work, and each person has a chance to go through their process. So if there's 10 people, it's going to take longer if they're 5. Probably likely to be somewhere around 10 people, I'm guessing. But we'll see. I'm still putting it out there and still getting people committing. So there's already how many people committed? Tony, Jackie. Yeah, there's probably about 5 people who've already kind of said yes. So there'll be a core group of 5, and hopefully some more will join us. So a group of 10, which is quite a nice size, quite a nice number. So that's some of the logistics, the structure. It's the live calls. So in week 1, we'll explore the theory behind the course. We'll read and discuss the first chapter of the text. We'll work through exercises 1 to 3 in the course manual. Study and apply the first 7 pathways to higher consciousness. We'll learn and practice 7 fundamental breathwork techniques. There's actually a breathwork course built into it. I use the breath in the meditation. So it's just sort of foundational training. It's the introduction, and then 2 to 6, weeks 2 to 6, we work through the text and the workbook, work through 35 lessons of the workbook, 1 a day. Read and discuss chapters 2 to 5 of the text. We work through exercises 4 to 12 in the Heart of Letting Go course manual. Study and apply the last 5 pathways to higher consciousness. We do a holotropic breathing session. Quite that's the content of the course. We go through the whole course manual. So there's 50 pages of material. These kinds of diagrams. It's all part of it. And it happens in the teaching happens in the live session. So if you join the live sessions, what I've found is people tend to get more of a shift, more experiential understanding and learning happens when they join the live calls. So if you can join the live calls, great. If not, then the recordings are not a bad second prize.
And can you validate that people do shift drastically, or can you see the change?
Yeah,
The course of the
absolutely.
year?
Yeah, I mean, I'll just show you some. It's a pity everyone's dropped off, because if they're members here, then they can actually tell you, firsthand their experience. But I'll just open this. I mean, these are the kinds of, I just cut and paste testimonials. That's what we wanted. I've got pages and pages of it. Loads and loads of testimonials. Yeah, and this is like people saying, what it's done for them. This lady was, it's in her 70s. In peace I derive from doing the forgiveness process. If it's still benefiting in our present life, will do so for years to come. Starts putting the pieces of the puzzle together. So, this is the best way of seeing it. Really enjoyed our conversation on Buddhist practice of pure, simple observation, letting go. It's really helpful. My shoulder feels better. I love the daily 1 hour meditation. Look forward to Sunday's session. So people do, they do get a shift. I want to share with you a miracle that happened. So she had a profound change of mind then. It's the most brilliant short meta. So I give you these short tools, which he's talking about here, that are the tools that I give you. So if you joined, are you on the Telegram group or on WhatsApp? You would have got something for me today. When you're on Telegram.
I am on Telegram, but I haven't joined your group.
Yeah. So there's this is what I give every day. There's various tools and resources in here. There's the quote. There's some teaching on it. There's sometimes a link to a video or another resource. So there's some reading, an article. There's the lesson for the day, and then there's a breath break, which helps you practice the lesson. Let me just go to the correct. So this is the actual club members group. So these are paying members. So they get the full everything. They get the teaching. They get the quote. They get what we've talked through in the beginning of the session. An article. There's a video recording as well. So it's an extra resource they get. There's another meditation I posted today. There's a note about today's live session, so they can join the live call. And then there's the mind training. So the idea is it all leads you. The quote leads you into the mind training, which is along the same lines. Which is anger must come from judgment. Judgment is the weapon I would use against myself to keep the miracle away from me. And then there's a go in there, Google Chrome, that'll open the document. So there's the teaching, the resources are in there, some preliminary stuff that you can read, and then it takes you into the teaching. And what we do is it's a translation of the original. So instead of Father, Son, God, Christ, all the Christian terminology, I translate it into an alternative language, which seems to make quite a difference to people. Right. So you get that every day. You get a meditation on it. So there's a longer meditation. There's a shorter breath break. So the idea is you practice that a couple of times in the day, and this you practice frequently in between to interrupt the pattern of the ego. So this is what you get every day. Lots of resources. which you can use. You figure out how to use them. You might go, okay, I like doing the meditation, so I'll do that in the morning, the evening, and I'll listen to the breath break a few times in the day. And I like to do the live calls a few times a week, so I'll join the live calls. And if you get into a routine with it, all of that spiritual practice is what does the work. It's going to starts undoing the ego, and bringing more and more awareness of your true self. And you get this on an email as well. So if you don't like Telegram, comes in an email form, which I've already showed you. This was the email. Gmail keeps losing it, but there's the email, which is quite comprehensive. There's a whole lot of. I'll just go down, view the whole message. So at the top you've got all the sort of main teaching, and then there's always a link to join the masterclass, to join the class for the day, and then there's an ideal daily schedule with a whole lot of resources. So you could do a 1 hour meditation in the morning to start the day. There's a link there, various links of it. That's a letting go meditation. Then as a result, in the back end of the course, there's a process every day. You remind yourself of your core values, your essence statements, and your core values. So that's your true self that you affirming. Daily prayer to be truly helpful. Read your statement of higher purpose. So I'm giving you all these tools, and you can then just you find your own rhythm with it. You find your own. Okay, so I like that. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. You may not be able to do all of it, but you find what works for you, and that's what most people do. I don't think anyone does all of it, but
and they can come in one of those 3 formats: WhatsApp, Telegram, and email.
Yeah. So Telegram, I've only got a for members. I've only got a Telegram group. If you become a member, then just use Telegram. It's the reason why we use Telegram is because it doesn't send the file to your phone. So if I'm sending you meditations and it's on WhatsApp, it ends up clogging up people's phones. They end up not having space, because these 26-minute meditation is like 26 megabytes. Whereas on Telegram, it sits on a server and you download it. You stream it from the server. So it doesn't actually take your phone storage space. So that's why I use Telegram.
Okay, that's good to know. Thank you.
Yeah. So it's a better messaging platform for that reason. Also means I can edit things. If I make a mistake, which does happen, I can go back and I can edit it because it's on a server. Whereas if I've sent it in WhatsApp, then it's gone. You can't edit it once it's been sent. Can't recall it. So it's a better messaging technology. So that's why we use it. So if you're going to join us, then I'd suggest join. You said you're on Telegram. I'll join you to the Telegram group, and then the content is not duplicated in WhatsApp. I don't send it as well. I've got some free groups in WhatsApp because not everyone's on Telegram, but the members only get one stream on Telegram. So it's in different formats. It's whichever way you want to do it. Some people prefer email, some people prefer Telegram, some people prefer joining live calls, some people prefer listening to recordings. It's a pretty comprehensive program. It's all available for you.
On Zoom.
Live calls on Zoom, yeah. Exactly like we've done. So you just experience. That was the first sort of power. It's a masterclass as well. So normally, we would have gone into a teaching on the lesson, which we would do, we still can if you'd like to. But this is to introduce new members. So yeah, if you'd like to join us, then I offer a 3-week free trial. The course is starting 5th of February, 5th of next month. So a 3-week free trial, which there's no cost for. You can join as much as you want. You can get all the resources. I don't put anything behind firewalls or members platforms yet, so you can download all the stuff. And because I know if it works for you, then you'll join and you'll carry on.
Yeah.
That's the whole point.
Yeah. Can you
if the-
can you send me this course structure?
Yeah, sure, I can. No problem. On email or WhatsApp, Telegram, which messaging platform do you prefer?
Probably WhatsApp.
Okay. Yeah, I can just send you the slide. So no problem. And there is I'll be upfront. There's a cost to the course, but the first 3 weeks are free. So if you look at the whole value, I won't go into this now, but there's a huge amount of value. All these resources, probably about £2,600, I estimated. If you incorporate all the back stuff there's a Facebook group, there's a Telegram group. You got access to all of that, all of the back stuff, as well as all of the resources. And I'm charging, it's usually discounted, £147. It's an early bird special until this coming Monday, which is about, it's actually a bit more than that, but I've made it less than 3,000. So 2,970 for the whole thing. But you can do a 3-week free trial if you just want to dip your toe in and see how it goes. And then after
Yes,
3 weeks,
I'd rather just do that.
yeah, that's fine. Do that. And then after 3 weeks, if it's worked for you and you like it, and you work out in the 3 weeks how it can work for you, because it's not just a 6-week course; it's actually an ongoing program. It's a 1-year program. So
Yes, it's amazing how you've structured it, because it can be very comprehensive if one's got the time and the money to devote.
Yeah, I mean, you can really do a deep dive into the Course of Miracles. I wanted to give someone like Sally, who you met. I mean, she joins pretty much every call, 95% of the calls she's on. And so she's just made it, this is her spiritual practice. It's taken her very deep into a spiritual awakening. She's had some mystic experiences. In the last 8-9 months, she's had profound transformation. It's a pity she's here, not here to tell you that in her own words, but I can send you some videos and where she says. So she's done a really deep dive. Other people don't do as deep a dive. They don't have the time or inclination, but they're getting value because they're accessing the material in the way that works for them. So they might just listen to a recording of a session. They might use the meditation I send them in the morning. They listen to a breath break when they're feeling stressed out, and it adds value. And the ongoing membership cost is not expensive. I've made it very, very affordable. So the idea is to get many members. I could. There's no limit to the number of members I could have. I could have 1,000 members using this technology. So and what I'd suggest is the 3-week free trial. Just jump in and do it as well as you possibly can. You're welcome. In fact, I'll give you an extra couple of weeks. You can join now because we've still got 2 weeks to go where we're doing live sessions until the 5th. We're just wrapping up our 1-year program. So if you'd like to jump into those, it's no problem. I'll add you to the mailing list and to the Telegram group, and you can start joining these classes if you want.
So that's just watching the tail end of the last course, are you saying? Yeah,
well, it's a 1-year program. So we're into today's lesson, as you'll see, is lesson 348, I think we're on. I'm going up, not down. So you'll see here in the middle section, there's a lesson 347. So there's 365 lessons. So we in the last lap of it, and it'll finish on the 4th, and then we go straight into the next program, the start of the next one.
Okay.
But it's been about a 4.5-year program to develop all of this for me. So at the end of 4th of February, I'll have finished to a good standard the entire year. Got all the material for the year's program. all the meditations, all the slides, all the emails, all the text messages. Yeah, then next year all of that's available to you, and I send it out generally pretty early in the morning, so you can wake up and there's your email and there's your Telegram message. At the moment, the email comes a bit later because I still have to produce it, but you'll get your Telegram message, fairly early in the morning. And when the course starts, again, I've got all that material from day one because I did it last year. So all those resources are there available, and I've tried to make it A Course in Miracles and this teaching of letting go as accessible as possible to people through all of this. Okay, this is a system you can use in your own way. It's all there for you. You figure out how it can work for you in your life.
That's what's so appealing about it, is it's so flexible and it's not structured tightly. It can be flexible and fit in with individual requirements.
Yeah, because everyone's got their own schedule and time commitments, and people have different attention spans. Some people just can't do 2-hour live course. They really struggle, but they could listen to a recording while they're cooking. They could do that. So I've tried to, it's been an iterative process over 4.5 years. I've tried to cover all bases and make it as universally acceptable and accessible to people as possible. And I've got, there's a subscriber base now, about members of about 20 people. So it's ready to grow, I think. Next year, with more time, if I'm not spending all the time developing content, there'll be more time to do masterclasses and do talks and invite people to join this. So if you know anyone who's interested before the 5th, invite them into any of our live sessions. I'll run a masterclass again, maybe on Sunday actually, because some of the South African, the 2 ladies who couldn't make it, and they just said one it's too late, the other one they've got load shedding. Well, okay, load shedding can happen anytime, but at least if it's in the day, you've got daylight. You can see, you're not in the dark, which is helpful. So then you can just go on laptop power or battery power. So I'll probably run it on Sunday. So, but I message in the daily messages, I communicate and say this is what's happening. So when the session is today, so just watch the Telegram message and the email to know when the live sessions happen. It's generally at 12:30, but sometimes that changes. It just depends. For the next 2 weeks, it depends on what's happening. I've got for instance, tomorrow it's my birthday, so I'm doing a later session than 12:30 because in the day I'm doing something. So, but if you just watch the Telegram group, then you'll see what the timing is that day. But as of the 5th of February, we'll do a regular structured. It'll be like 12. It'll be 2:30 every day, your time, and then 9:30. So okay, those two time slots are always available. And if you join a call Monday to Friday or Sunday afternoon, at the 2:30 slot, then that's always happening. So it's regular.
Great, thank you very much. And
so any
and I'll keep the 5th
questions?
of February in mind as the start of a course. But in the meantime, I'll join in with this.
Right. So would you like me to add you to the group and the mailing list? So you'll get an email like this every day, and you'll get the Telegram message, which is equivalent. That's duplicated, most of the content duplicated on Telegram up to a point. The email is more comprehensive, and it's got more the whole ideal daily schedule, but up to about here it's duplicated. So you can then look at it in Telegram if you prefer. So I'll add you. Is that okay? I'll add you to the Telegram group.
Yes.
And I'll add you to the mailing list. Did you found my email? Did you?
I didn't actually. So
right.
Just the one that gave this particular link.
Right. You found an email.
Phone, I think leave the email. Let's just stick to Telegram.
Telegram. Okay. Yeah, it's okay. I mean, all the content's accessible to you. You just don't have all the resources, but a lot of people don't even get you an email.
Yeah,
Like
I
that,
don't
you
need
know,
it at
like
this stage. I'm just
at this stage, yeah.
being
Yeah, well,
led.
in the course, I definitely recommend you get on the email. So if you can, in preparation for the course, just whitelist my email address. I sent you those instructions. Then you'll make sure that you get the emails.
Okay.
Yeah, I sent it to you on WhatsApp. Did you get that file?
I think I did, but I found it difficult to read and I didn't understand what was going on. So I need to be talked through with it.
Right.
But I don't
Okay.
want to do the emails because I don't check my emails early in the morning, early enough.
Yes.
And sometimes I don't even get to the computer.
Yeah. Okay.
And I don't have that email. I don't use that same email on my phone.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's fine. I'll just add you to the Telegram group.
Great.
Yeah. And
Okay. Thanks.
join us for some of the live calls.
Yes.
Before the 5th. And then the 5th it starts, and a couple of days before you'll get an email and some preparation, and then try and give as much time and attention to the course over the 6 weeks as you can, because what you put in you get out.
Right. Thank you very much.
All right. Well, thanks
Okay.
for joining. I just as a little aside, if you know anyone who's interested, and you refer them to me, then I give you a 20% referral fee. So that would help you with the cost.
That's hardly likely because I don't know many people at this point in time. I'm not teaching life alignment anymore, so I don't have students that I can pass on to you. I'm really limited in terms of people power.
Okay. Yeah. Well, if something comes along, then just the right.
May come along, I must just keep it in mind to share what
if there's a resonance, if someone's like into A Course in Miracles, or they're saying I really want to study it. I mean, it's a great introductory course for anyone wanting to get into the course. But there's also serious students. I've had people who join after 15 years of studying it, and they go, "Wow, that's a revelation. It's a whole new depth and perspective on this thing that I've been studying forever." So it's because you can see it's comprehensive. It's at various levels. You can get an introduction.
I do have a friend who did Course in Miracles about 10 years ago here in Cape Town.
Okay.
But she had to travel and she had to go and be there in physical form. So she might be quite interested in doing it again in this format.
Yeah, well, the advantage is, you just join whenever. You join from your home, your office, wherever you are.
Yes.
You don't have to go anywhere. It's kind of a retreat, but you're doing a retreat from your home environment.
Yeah.
So it's the benefit of the digital age. Still trying to replicate some of that. I love the immersion of retreats. You can really get into an immersive experience, and that's where shift happens. So if you can kind of duplicate that, and you do like a daily call, you're still in your home environment, but you're immersing yourself into this transformational field. And then the results are miraculous. People do get shifts and changes. It's just inevitable. You can't put yourself in the field of transformation and not have shifts happening.
Which is what I want.
So that's what everyone wants. That's why we do this stuff, and that's what brought you here. So it's all.
Thank you for your time. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, thank you for joining, and for just saying, okay, I'm open to the free trial, and after 3 weeks you'll know if it works for you or not. If it works for you, then you continue, and if it doesn't, no hard feelings. It's okay. It's like you had an experience, and everything is of benefit. But I mean, if this resonated with you tonight, then I think the course will resonate with you, and the program will resonate with you, because it's all along the same lines. I actually gave you quite a deep dive tonight. It was like, okay, that just happened. It was spontaneous. All of those diagrams. It was quite So I hope I didn't blow your mind, but obviously it was meant. That was meant. So that was meant to be. So just gave you a little quick overview of what it's all about.
Yes, no, very thorough. Thank you. And I grasped a lot of it. I just have to discipline myself and remember what I'm committed to and this daily program. And eventually I'll get into it. At the moment, it's like putting your feet in, but taking them out and should I, shouldn't I? So it'll all come clear in time.
Yeah. Great. Well, just try and do what you can the next 2 weeks, and then it'll sort of maybe get you into a regular practice. If you can join some of the live calls, you can listen to some of the meditations. So that's really what it's about. I mean, we know this stuff intellectually, but it's about practicing it.
Yes,
and people need support and structure for that.
We have a lot of meditations from Jeff with life alignment, and I've got them recorded all over the place. But do I ever get the time to go and listen to them again and do them again? Very rarely. I was wanting to do one this morning. It's already evening and I haven't done it. So this commitment thing is quite important. I've got a lot of references. I've got a lot of material that I could be using, but I'm not using it because it's like I'm not being coached into it. So
that's exactly why I developed this, because the problem is, the material might be there, but if it's not there for you, it's not accessible, it's not being kind of sent to you, then it's not uppermost in your mind. You forget. Okay, well, the material's all there in my archives, it's on my computer, I don't know where it is, it's not that accessible, so I don't do it. And then you don't use it. So I've just made it very accessible, and it's presented to you in the format that you like, email or Telegram, and there it all is. The links are the meditation's one tap away. It's sent to you on Telegram. So you open your phone in the morning, there it is. Tap that, and I put some headphones in, and I can meditate.
It's brilliant. Very good.
Trying to make it as accessible as possible using this amazing technology we've got. It's incredible, the tools that are available now compared to 10 years ago.
in my daughter's house that I'm sitting in a playroom with my grandchildren's paraphernalia around me, this daughter is in IT and she does this sort of stuff. So she's got the brain to do what you're doing. And I'm in awe of it all. I really am. So
it's actually quite simple. I mean, they've made it like Telegram it's really a piece of cake to use. It's not difficult.
It is, yes.
They give you all these free tools. I mean, you download the Telegram PC desktop version, and then you can do all the bolding. It's like a writing it in Word. They just made it, and it's free. Amazing! It's free. You can have as many 100,000 members communicating with, and it's free. I mean, that's just incredible. So
most people really don't know that there are 3 or 4 or 5 channels from which to get the same stuff. I mean, you either email obsessed or you WhatsApp obsessed because you don't want to pay for anything, and you don't explore the other channels. So it's good to see them coming at me through this one program.
And then via this you access YouTube. There's a video on YouTube, so you can go get that, or there's a recording, which is a voice recording that you listen to. So it's multimedia. It's a multimedia program facilitated by this technology, which is amazing, and it's all free. I couldn't have built this 10 years ago, but now with the tools. So that's for anyone who's doing spiritual teaching, it's really exciting to be in this time, because you're like, wow, this is all possible, to communicate all of this stuff and give all these resources to people, make it very accessible for them, meet live every day with a group of people from around the world. I mean, just wow, amazing. So we're in a very fortunate time if we use the tools correctly for
and it's a time in the world where we need planetary shifts. So it's a way of reaching out to everybody, reaching out to humanity. And the more you engage, the more we're going to change this crazy world that we're living in.
Yeah, well, it's
I
a
bow
change of
to
mind.
you, and I encourage
The
you to
fundamental
continue.
change of mind that's required, and that requires each person, each individual, as this diagram well shows. Each individual needs to make the shift themselves. It's an individual. There we go. Integral model, Ken Wilber. Individual intentional domain. That's what it comes down to. Every person needs to have a shift in that, because then they change their behavior, and then the individual intentions combine to form a different culture, and then we create different systems or patterns of behavior. But it comes down to individual transformation. That's what changes the world, which is what this course is about.
Phenomenal. I mean, really, you've reached out, and you've picked me, the perfect person who was intending this sort of thing maybe 3 days ago. My
Really?
intentions were exactly this.
Okay.
Because that's how powerful. That's how powerful we are, and I know it because of life alignment.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
you set the intention. It's like, then it comes along. Yeah. Ask and you shall receive, as Jesus said. Seek and you'll find, knock and the door will be open. So I guess
it's
the door's
magic,
open for you.
magic. And we seeing the magic around us all the time, and most of us are just totally unaware. So I'm glad that I have this enough of a perceptual shift to grab this opportunity and run with it.
Fantastic. Okay.
Thank you.
Well, welcome aboard. I'll add you to the Telegram group for now. And so just, check your Telegram messages every morning. Join us on the live calls. The information about the live calls will be in there, the link, etc., meditations. And if you have any questions, just, reach out to me. Just message me privately and I'll respond.
Super. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
Bye.
Thanks, Christine. Okay. Thanks for joining.
Bye.
Sleep well. Bye for now. Okay, so that brings us to the end of the masterclass. If anyone's watching this recording, join us live again for our next session, which is going to be on Sunday. I think I'm going to do it. So just go to theaolg.com. Show you the URL, and you can register on the website. I just need to update it, so don't do that immediately, but it'll be done by tomorrow. So the next one will be Sunday afternoon. Okay, so join us then. That'll be a full session. You'll get to experience a live session as well as chat about the material and understand more. So hope to see you then. Go on to theaolg.com to register, and hope to see you on the inside soon. Thanks for everyone, Christine and Susie, Sally, and Aurelie for joining tonight.